Today on Florida Sportsman Best Boat, we're showcasing boats that can take abuse and still deliver high performance. These are aluminum skiffs in the 18 to 20 foot range that can fish a saltwater marsh or a freshwater stump field. Some key features to look for in this class are an all-welded hull will stand up to rough water and obstacles better than an aluminum hull with rivets. A welded keel and continuous strakes help to knock down spray and add strength to the bow. An interior with a tough spray-in liner will show little wear after years of use and offer maximum anti-skid. Pedestal seats on the fore and aft casting decks will make a full day on the water more comfortable. A flat area for a bow-mounted trolling motor is a must in a boat in this category. Aluminum decks and hatch lids are lightweight and will never rot like other core material. A V-hull entry will ride much smoother than a flat-bottom style hull. A small, leaner seat behind the helm is comfortable for two anglers and takes up very little cockpit space. If you want a boat that can stand up to a harsh saltwater environment that is lightweight and affordable, an aluminum skiff in the 18 to 20 foot range might be the best boat for you. Join our hosts Dave East and Rick Riles as we feature 3 aluminum skiffs that let an angler fish the path less traveled without the worry of fiberglass repair. G3 Bay 18DLX, the SeaArk 2072 VFX Deluxe, and the Alumacraft 2072. They'll be conducting walkthroughs, test drives, and reviewing key features, all to help you decide if this is the best boat for you.
Welcome to this edition of Florida Sportsman Best Boat. I'm Dave East, boating editor of Florida Sportsman Magazine.
And I'm Rick Riles, program director of Florida Sportsman Radio Network.
Rick, I'm so excited we finally got to do this episode on aluminum bay boats because aluminum is where I started. I started with a little John boat in Louisiana, all welded, flat bottom, and I've loved that little boat ever since.
Dave, I know what you mean. It's where we all started. And these may be aluminum, don't you dare call them John boats. These were born and bred to be bay boats.
Well, if you look at the hulls, you know they're different. It's all welded. There's no rivets in the hulls at all. They're built just for a harsh saltwater environment. Their finishes are set up for saltwater, interior and exterior. These boats are really made to stand up for what we're using them for.
These hulls are laid up to be in open water, Dave. We're not talking about the flat bottom old John boats that you grew up in and I grew up in. We're talking about a V-hull, soft riding, quiet, good handling bay boat.
Well, there's so many times when a fiberglass boat just won't do. You live in Jacksonville, a lot of oyster beds. You run aground in one of these boats, you might chip a little paint. You do it in a fiberglass boat, you just made that guy's house payment for the day.
You're exactly right, Dave. They're very, very rugged, very, very tough, easy to run, easy to trailer. There's a lot of things to like about going to an aluminum bay boat.
Well, they're lightweight, they're super strong, they don't carry as much horsepower because they don't need as much horsepower.
Well, you're right. The motors that we've got on the backs of these boats burn less fuel, they draw less water, and there's a lot of pluses to them because they're pushing a lighter payload.
Well, the largest boat we brought was 20 feet. Actually, we have 2 20-footers and we have an 18. None of these boats need a big vehicle to pull them. You can pull them with a Jeep, a small car, a small-sized truck. You don't have to have a great big F-250. These boats are similar in one fashion that you can really tell their heritage came from the freshwater market. They've got front and rear casting seats, something you normally only see on a bass boat, bow-mounted trolling motor so you can work a shoreline. So you can use these boats a lot like the guys use the bass boats in freshwater, but they're built for saltwater.
And you know what? They built them to be versatile, Dave. All of them have removable front seats. Pull the seats out, throw the water skis and inner tubes in. You're ready for the family on Sunday afternoon.
Rick, look at all these 3 boats. They have something else in common. They're tough. Their interiors are made out of basically bed liner, so they're really going to stand up.
These are boats that are built to be abused, and they handle it with grace. They handle it well. It drafts shallow, Dave. It's inexpensive to own. It's inexpensive to operate. If you want your fastest, easiest way on the water, one of these aluminum bay boats may just be the best boat for you.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Florida Sportsman Best Boat. This segment is brought to you by Costa Del Mar. See what's out there. Florida Sportsman, the source for fishing in the outdoors since 1969. Florida's largest fishing and outdoors magazine. Year-round TV with real-time Florida Sportsman and Florida Sportsman Best Boat. Florida's #1 online resource. Over 8 million page views a month. Live reports from the water every Saturday morning. Hands-on instruction, seminars and demonstrations. Books, charts, and more. Become part of the Florida Sportsman community today. Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Best Boat. This week, we'll be featuring aluminum skiffs in the 18 to 20 range.
Dave, the first boat we're going to look at today is the Alumacraft 2072. She's an aluminum boat, but let me tell you something. She is 100% bay boat.
Well, one of the three boats that we've brought today, we've got one a little bit smaller, we've got one a little bit bigger. She's right in the middle of the line, but I tell you what, this boat can stand tall with any fiberglass boat on the market.
Well, it can. In the same size, the ride is so similar, it's almost eerie. There's a lot of things you gain when you go to aluminum. They've now got aluminum that's treated 100% for salt water, not the big threat of rust and corrosion that there was years ago with the first generation of aluminum boats.
But what I like about this Alumacraft, they've kind of laid it out for everything. If you want to do a little bit of fresh water, if you want to do a little bit of salt water, I mean, it's really not an offshore boat per se, but the flats, the bays, anything in fresh water, this one boat is really, really versatile.
Dave, considering what it takes to trailer this boat, which is maybe a motorcycle or a Volkswagen, okay, where you can store it, how easy it is to wash, this may be your easiest ticket to get you and 2 or 3 of your friends out on the water.
And you're not gonna, you know what? You're gonna have a good ride too. You're not gonna have the ride of an old flat bottom. People think aluminum, they think John boat, they think bang away. That's not what these boats are.
No, these hulls are designed to run in open water. They are as much a bay boat as any bay boat we've been on. This Alumacraft's got some really neat features. Let's look through them.
Well, the first thing I'd like to talk about is the hull. The construction, it's all welded. You don't have a whole bunch of rivets that are gonna loosen up over time from hitting big waves. In the interior layout, you've got rod boxes, you've got storage, you've got a live well, you've got flip-up seats in the back, and if you look at it, you've got a little leaner. I mean, it really looks like a saltwater boat.
Dave, this boat is built to do what it does. It can go anywhere except your roughest water. It's not an offshore boat. It fits everywhere else you want to go.
Well, if you look at the fit and finish of this boat, it is zero maintenance, hose and go. Starting with the interior finish. It's the bid liner type material that's on the inside. It gives it not really not a cushion, but it's not as noisy as just what a solid paint would be, but it's certainly a lot easier to upkeep than carpet.
No, it's not loud at all. I can tell you, it rides and sounds like a fiberglass boat.
Rick, one thing I love about this Alumacraft is the seating. Up here in the bow, this is so much like a bass boat and it's so comfortable.
Well, Dave, it is. But if you don't want it to be a bass boat today, just pull that seat out, stick a couple kids up here, and you're ready to go skiing.
Well, it just speaks to the versatility of what this boat is all about.
Coming down the sides, full rod lockers. These open up, you can slide your rods all the way forward in them, lock them shut when you're on the road. You're safe as can be.
You've got additional storage up here for your PFDs or any other gear that you're going to bring along as well. Rick, the Alumacraft does have one fiberglass molded piece, and that's the center console, and up here you've got a combination cooler live well.
Well, let me tell you something, Dave. One of the beauty of the simplicity of these aluminum boats is no trim tabs, okay? Now, you know what that means? You always have your live well in the center of the boat. That way, when you add that weight, it adds to your stability and increases your ride. Believe me, I've been on both sides of this boat, running, moving all around it. It's as stable as it can be.
Rick, calling this Alumacraft a bay boat, it really is appropriate, because these are things that you only normally see in a bay boat. I've got a nice little leaner seat here that you can either stand or you can sit. And you've got jump seats, and this is something that we've only been seeing on the bay boats.
Well, you know, you're right, Dave, and I tell you what's cool about that leaner. It doesn't have a backrest to it because it's got that full seat behind it. If you sit there and lean back on that seat, you're perfectly comfortable. Get ready to fish, just hop up in the seat.
Well, just like the bass boats have. I've got a seat in the front, I've got a seat in the back. There's nothing more comfortable than sitting down while you're working a shoreline.
Well, you're right, and the boat's laid out to be comfort.
Rick, I know you spent a lot of time on this boat today, and being a 20-foot boat, some people might think a 115 is a little bit light.
Hold on a minute, Skippy. I just ran across a choppy bay in that with that 115 doing 45 miles an hour comfortably. No, sir. It's aluminum, Dave. It weighs less. It takes less to push it.
Well, there's another benefit of having an aluminum boat, because this boat is, if it was built out of fiberglass, your minimum power would start at about 150
Well, you're
horses.
right. And you know what happens then? You draft more. You take more water. You can't get as shallow as you can with this boat. You burn more fuel, and you get less speed per horsepower ratio.
So just more good things to have about an aluminum boat is more benefits over fiberglass. Fiberglass has their place, but you know what? So do aluminum.
You're right, Dave. The aluminum thing all started in fresh water, but they've come to salt in a big way, and the boats are built for it.
Stay tuned for this week's Florida Sportsman Best Boat Seminar. This segment is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
Welcome back. Here's Dave and Rick with this week's Florida Sportsman Best Boat Seminar.
Hey Dave, remember when being safety conscious and wearing your PFD all day meant cooking in one of these?
I do, but you know what? Anyone who's watched us film an episode of Best Boat, I really hope they don't think we're wearing fanny packs, because they went out in the 80s.
No, and there ain't no European man purse on us, brother. But what I am wearing is something that would float me and keep me alive if I fell overboard.
Well, you know what? They're comfortable. We don't even know we have them on, but in an emergency, you pull this, it inflates, you put it on, it could easily save your life.
You're right, and there's so many different designs now, and there's no excuse not to wear one. In fact, if you're gonna be a tournament fisherman, you better get used to it. You have to wear one every time the big motor's running. Everybody's prone to having an accident on the water. There's no such thing as somebody it can't happen to. Why not be safe? If you keep safety first, you're gonna have a lot more fun when you're out on the water.
Okay, Rick, this is a G3 Bay 18 DLX, and you know, sometimes you just find something that's just the right size, and this boat might be just the right size for somebody.
This boat is quick, is what this boat is. I'm not talking about boat speed, I'm talking about reaction, I'm talking about how it turns. This boat is quick.
Well, it's taken all the advantages of aluminum. It's super lightweight, and so it responds. I mean, it's got a big engine for the size of the boat, and the response is quick, and it's just a light feel. It feels great.
Oh, it really does. And you know what? We brought it across the choppy bay. I thought it did fine.
It kept up with the other two boats that are much larger. But you know, if you've got a small tow vehicle, or maybe you want to put this in your garage and you don't want to leave it outside, this boat might fit.
You know what people don't think about a lot? Is taking their boat off the back of the vehicle and swinging it like next to a shed or in a garage or a fit where your driveway doesn't line up, okay? Awful lot of boats you can't do that with. When you go to a tandem action trailer, forget it, you can't do that. A boat like this, pick it up, turn it around, shove it where you want it.
Well, let's say that most of the time you're going to fish with just a buddy or two. There's plenty of room in this boat. You don't necessarily need all the square footage of the larger boats. So this boat might fit your size and may fit your budget.
And here we go again. You know what happens when we go smaller and lighter, don't you? It drafts less. It's less wind resistance when you tow it. Everything about it, it has a smaller footprint than the bigger boats do.
Well, too, in the little G3, we're talking about it being less, but you know what? Not on features. It's got all of the same features that the other two larger boats have. You've got rod boxes, you've got flip-up jump seats in the back, you've got live well, you've got storage. It's just a smaller version, more compact, easier to handle, especially for one person. If you're angling by yourself, this may be the ticket.
You know, Dave, you said something, and it's what held aluminum boats back in the southeast United States for a long time, live wells. Do you realize how long it was before an aluminum boat came with a live well? Now, every boat we looked at today has got a fully functioning live well in it.
Well, it does, and you know what? If you look at this boat, it says bay on the side, and it really should, because it's set up like a bay boat. Center console, even though the center console is fiberglass, not aluminum, center console, you got a leaning post, but it still kept some of the features, like the front and rear deck seats, like you've seen on the other boats. Just everything you need without anything you don't.
Well, I like the light color too. You and I have been running around this boat barefoot with no problems.
And one thing that this boat has that the other two boats do as well, you've got a nice big casting bow platform and also a casting rear platform.
With seats if you want. And all the boats we looked at today come pre-wired for trolling motors. These are put it together, go fishing the next day type operation.
All right, and they've kept all the comfort features too. You have removable pedestal seats, front and rear. You've got console cushions. It's a really comfortable boat to ride in all day. Another thing about this interior, it's got this tough rhino type interior like they have in the truck beds. It's a little different. It's been formulated for the marine environment, but great anti-skid, it's cool on your feet, and it's really quiet. Another thing about the floor, if you look down here, I like the way they've cut the drains into the floor. Everything drains into the bilge. It's not really a self-bailing boat, but I've got drains fore and I've got drains aft. That way, if there's more weight in the front of the boat and it's a pouring down rainstorm, or maybe we parked and went to a restaurant, the boat's parked downhill, the water's still gonna make it to the bilge and be pumped out.
Dave, it's not only that, they were smart enough to actually cut strainers into them. So you can't lose something down below deck. You can't drop your favorite fishing lure and have it wash into a scupper and get clogged in in a tube, and don't ask me how I know about that, but I do.
Well, what G3 has done is they've taken a lot of the things from the fiberglass bay boat industry. They've stayed with the fiberglass console. I've got a molded in cup holder, and I've got a little shelf here molded on top of the console that I love. Cell phones, fishing lures, hooks, and stuff like that. It's a real simple thing for them to add, but for the fishermen, it's a nice thing. But look at the overall layout of this G3 again. It's so much like a fiberglass bay boat. Leaner post, we've seen this in the other boats. They've got the comfortable seats. So what they've done is they've taken all the good stuff from the bay boat industry, jump seats in the back. They've added it to the benefits of an aluminum boat. I think they've done a really good job.
They have. This boat's set up to fish a tournament, and you and your buddy can cast from it all day long, whether it's bass, snook, trout, whatever it is, any kind of water you want. And then the next day, how many skis and skiers can you fit in here if you just pop out these two removable pedestals?
Right, well, it speaks to the versatility we've been talking about since we started this episode. Freshwater, saltwater, take the kids to the sandbar, and you're gonna do it in a boat that's comfortable and economical.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Florida Sportsman Best Boat.
When you buy a Florida fishing license, you support research, conservation-minded fishing, law enforcement, habitat restoration, hatcheries, access to fishing, and programs that connect kids to the outdoors. It's an investment in the future.
Those are the reasons I do.
That's why I do.
These are the reasons I do have my Florida fishing license.
Please say I do too and get your Florida fishing license.
When filming for Florida Sportsman Best Boat, the cast and crew stayed at Pirates Cove Resort and Marina in Stuart, Florida. Family owned and operated, featuring 50 renovated rooms with an outstanding restaurant and a full-service 50-slip marina. Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Best Boat. This week, we're featuring aluminum skiffs in the 18 to 20 range.
All right, Rick, now we're looking at the SeaArk 2072 FX Deluxe, and man, what can I say? This boat is huge.
It is big, Dave. I can tell you how big it is. We've talked a lot about the aluminum boats and how they really don't have a place offshore at all. I bet you $1 you wouldn't be the first person to put a kingfish in one of these.
Oh, I'd do it in a heartbeat. This boat's got a 15-degree dead rise, so it really rides as close as you're going to get to a fiberglass boat ride, but yet it's kept all of the good benefits of aluminum.
Yep, it sure is. It's one piece, it's easy to clean. I like the non-skid deck a lot. It's not the kind that holds stains. It's actually the liner similar to, like you said, a truck liner earlier.
A lot of the aluminum boats, their heritage goes back to hunting and fishing. So they even have a little piece that fits into this extruded rail to put sticks if you want to make a duck blind out of it, bimini top, whatever. It just shows what SeaArk has done to make this boat very, very versatile.
You're right, but make no mistake about it, it's a serious fishing boat, Dave. 2 live wells, including a 40-gallon one in the back. That's going to keep nice fish alive for a tournament way in a long time.
All right, Rick, one thing you're going to love, especially coming from your area of the state, they've reinforced the keel of this boat to take the abuse of the oyster beds.
You've been watching me drive a boat again, haven't you? Well, it's like we said, Dave, all this started in Alaska, where they went to aluminum boats because they're always bouncing them off the rocks. Well, what's the difference between rocks and an oyster bed? Nothing.
Well, to make the transition from the freshwater market or for the hunting market into a serious saltwater boat, it looks like SeaArk has taken all of this consideration and come up with just a dynamite platform.
Well, they have, and there's an awful lot of room in this boat. Remember, we talked about some of the boats earlier being good for 1, 2, 3 people. You can take 4 or 5 people in this boat very comfortably.
Oh, easily. The capacity plate actually says 10, and they make this in a side configuration, a side console, where you can put a lot more people in it. But you know what? Realistically, 4 or 5 guys, plenty of room for all your tackle. No one's in each other's way. You've got plenty of capacity for your live bait. It's also got the largest power of the 3 boats that we brought today. It's got a 150. I honestly don't think it needs it. I ran this boat today. She's fast, eats up a chop like nobody's business. I think you could get by with a smaller motor, but she handles the 150 no problem. Very stable at wide open throttle.
How does she compare draft-wise? Did you put it up in shallow water?
We need about 12 inches of water to float this boat. But you know what? That's right in there with any bait boat.
That's in there with any bait boat, okay? Manufacturers can say what they want. That's about what most of them draw. You're exactly right. Dave, there's a lot to like about this boat. Let's look at some of the features.
Rick, you know, we've talked about how large this SeaArk is, but look at the size of this forward casting deck. It's huge.
Oh, you can do 2, 3 people up here, no problem, Dave. Especially if you pop this seat out. Once again, you want to load up some water skiers, you want to load up the whole family, take the seat out. You want a comfortable place to sit, put it back in.
You've got a large area up here, not only to land your trolling motor, but you can actually stand up there and fish. A lot of storage up here in the bow. As you work your way aft, we've got the same anti-skid, it's just all solid colors, and you get to this diamond plate floor in here, looks like something you'd find in a big heavy-duty truck.
It does. It just speaks durable, doesn't it? It just talks about how rough and tough the boat is. Every weld in this boat is bigger than it has to be. The aluminum is bigger than it has to be. They're very proud of the fact that they overbuild this boat.
Well, I know today when I ran it, we ran through some pretty rough stuff by the inlet, and she is solid. It doesn't rattle around, there's nothing loose.
Yeah, that means the hatches fit tight, Dave. Nothing bothers me more than to come off a wave and hear about 4 hatches pound. We had none of that with this boat today.
Well, no, because they make all their own hatches. All these hatches are aluminum, they're all welded, and they all fit exactly like they should.
And then lock in place.
Talking about a bay boat, you know, we've got the leaner seat. We've seen this in all 3 boats. One thing I love about this boat, a huge 40-gallon release well, live well combination, and it's divided. That way I can put my big fish on my side and your little fish on your side.
Oh, in your dreams. But what you can do is put your bait on one side and your fish to be released later on another side, which is nice.
Rick, as we make our way to the stern, one thing I noticed in the back of this boat, they've got the optional flotation pods. What I love about it, a little bit more displacement to carry the weight of the extra ponies on the back, but when you take off, they're not really like trim tabs, but they do help you get that nose over.
Oh, they do. And keep in mind now, you're going to have more planing surface. That also going to give you a little more stable ride.
Well, we've got a power pole in the back of this boat. It's a great place to mount it. On this side, we've got a ladder. And you know what? I like to see ladders on the boats. Even if you're not going to dive or snorkel, it's a safety thing. If it's the winter time and you're fully clothed and you go overboard, you better have an easy way to get back in the boat. That ladder could save your life.
Well, Dave, you're right. And let me tell you something. Remember we mentioned these higher sides? That's only trouble if you got to get back in. That ladder's not an option. That ladder's mandatory for my boat. Dave, this SeaArk 2072 was the biggest of the 3 boats we looked at today, but there were a lot of reasons for her size. She's actually designed to be a little bigger boat than the other ones are.
Well, if you're going to be using this boat in the saltwater environment, what she's built for, you're going to be crossing bigger bays, you're going to be making longer runs, especially if you're down in the Keys, you're going to run from Alumacraft maybe over into Shark River. Having a boat with this much displacement and this size, a little bit extra horsepower on the back, may be the best boat.
If you're looking for a durable, lightweight boat for fishing anything from shallow saltwater to big reservoirs, aluminum boats have come a long way in recent years. Now combining cutting-edge features with a durable, no-nonsense hull, aluminum boats appeal especially to anglers who might push navigation to the limit, sneaking up on rough oyster bars or bumping off timber on the way to a fish-filled backwater. These are rugged boats for rugged individualists who like to get off the beaten path. If this sounds like you, then an aluminum skiff in the 18 to 20 foot range might be the best boat for you.
For more information, go to floridasportsman.com, go to the boating page, and see all the boats that we've tested in this season's best boat.
And we'll see you next week on Florida Sportsman's Best Boat.
Be sure to join us next week when we cover 24 to 26 foot center consoles on Florida Sportsman Best Boat. Each month, turn to Florida Sportsman for the best in boating and fishing coverage.